She was strong, smart, and solo. Amelia Amy Turner, a 24-year-old nature photographer and avid hiker, set off to complete the stunning 20-mile paintbrush Cascade Canyon Loop in Grand Teton National Park. It was her dream trip. She never came back. For nearly a year, no one found a single clue. No body, no backpack, just silence. Then one morning, high atop a cliffside, a ranger studying eagle nests spotted something red and blue tangled in the sticks. When he climbed up, what he found would unlock one of the darkest mysteries in park history and lead investigators straight to a killer hiding in plain sight. This is not just a missing persons case. It's a story of obsession, survival, and a father's relentless search for truth. Welcome to Echo Stories. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. Part 1, Amy's Last Trek. August 12th, 2023, a bright, clear morning. Amy Turner arrived at String Lake Trailhead with her gear camera, GPS, satellite phone, first aid, the works. She was prepared. She'd done tougher treks before. Her social media was filled with mountaintop sunrises and canyon time lapses. That morning, she even asked a couple to snap a photo of her at the trailhead. Smiling arms raised, the Tetons rising behind her. That would be the last verified image of her alive. Rangers say she checked in, no red flags. But when she didn't return the next day, her dad, Mark Turner, sounded the alarm. Search crews were dispatched. Helicopters scanned the range. Dogs tracked her scent for miles. They found her tent, pitched neatly beneath tree cover. Food tucked in bear-proof bags. Notebook open on a rock sketching wildflowers. But her boots and backpack were gone, which made no sense. She wouldn't have wandered far without her gear. Her trail stopped literally. Dogs lost the scent in a stretch of granite boulders halfway into the loop. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Some thought accident, others wildlife. But Mark Turner knew his daughter, and he believed someone took her. Part 2, the man with the military pack. In the weeks following Amy's disappearance, Grand Teton became a hive of activity. Volunteers scoured every canyon. Helicopters hovered for hours. The park had seen missing hikers before, but nothing like this. What bothered investigators most was the lack of any sign of distress. No blood, no torn fabric, no signal from her satellite beacon. Then a tip surfaced. A middle-aged couple hiking the same trail remembered something odd. A man, alone, dressed in muted greens, military-style backpack, boots too stiff for the trail. They said he passed them without a word, just a nod, sunglasses, shaved head, cold stare. He didn't carry a water bottle. And when they turned to look back, he was gone. That was 2 hours after they had seen Amy. They told rangers. A sketch artist was brought in, but with no name, no registration at the trailhead, the lead went cold. Theories spread online. Some said Amy staged her own disappearance. Others believed she was attacked by a bear or fell into a ravine too deep to search. But Mark Turner refused to believe any of that. He sold his small home in Oregon and moved to a cabin near the Tetons. Every day he hiked a new segment of the canyon loop. He mapped, measured, took notes. Someone knows something, he told local reporters. I just have to outlast the silence. By month 7, even the news had stopped covering her story. Until month 11, when a young ranger named David Chen, studying eagle nesting patterns, spotted something that shouldn't have been there. A strip of nylon, red and blue, woven into a bald eagle's nest high on a cliff. He climbed up. Inside, he found a torn strap with the brand Amy always used, and wrapped deep beneath the twigs, a piece of women's clothing. Part 3, the nest and the clue. The object was unmistakable. A scrap of nylon webbing torn at one end, faded but still stitched with the words Granite Pro 60. That was Amy's backpack model. And deeper in the nest, tangled in twigs and bones, was something worse. A pair of women's underwear, a vibrant red lace trim Amy had once posted in a What's in My Hiking Bag video. David Chen, the ranger who found it, alerted search and rescue immediately. The nest was 120 feet up a sheer cliff wall, nearly inaccessible to hikers. But eagles don't fly into tent zippers. They scavenge, which meant somewhere near that cliff, there had to be a body. A forensic recovery team arrived within 48 hours. Drones scanned the slope below the nest, narrowing in on a narrow scree, chute littered with small rocks, disturbed soil. And one key thing, a shallow grave. Roughly 3 feet deep, hidden beneath a scatter of stones and broken pine boughs. Inside were skeletal remains, pieces of torn outdoor clothing, and a titanium ring on the right hand engraved with the initials A.T. Amy Turner had been found, but how she was found would change everything. An autopsy confirmed blunt force trauma to the skull, defensive wounds to her forearms, and disturbing traces of sexual assault. This wasn't an accident, it was a murder. The FBI was called in, and Mark Turner, when told his daughter had been buried like a secret, broke down in a way no camera could ever capture. "I knew," he whispered. "I knew she didn't just disappear." But finding Amy was only half the battle. Now they needed to find who did this. And one name buried deep in ranger station logs was about to light the match. Part 4, The Ghost at the Trailhead. When investigators re-examined the trail registry, one thing stood out. A scribbled name from the morning Amy began her hike. R. Fraser. No contact info, no car plate recorded. Just a name and an arrow pointing toward the same trail Amy took Cascade Loop. The handwriting was crude, like someone trying to fake neatness. The couple who saw the mysterious man with the military backpack, they reviewed the ranger sketch again, and this time one of them whispered, "That's him. I'm sure of it." A background search pulled up a Robert Fraser 44 drifter, dishonorably discharged from the military, known for changing states and using aliases. He had stayed at a cheap lodge just outside Jackson Hole during the same week Amy vanished, then abruptly checked out the day she was reported missing. Worse, his room had been rented under Kechi and a fake ID, but they had enough to track him. 12 days after Amy's body was found, U.S. Marshals caught up with Robert Fraser in Kalispell, Montana, living in a trailer under a different name. Inside the trailer they found a blood-stained hiking shirt, a Nikon DSLR camera registered to Amy Turner, and a locked metal trunk. Inside that trunk, multiple photos of female hikers taken from a distance, many of whom were never aware they were being followed. And in one horrific folder, Amy, images of her camping, changing, climbing, until the last picture blurred in dark. Amy running. Fraser didn't deny anything. He said one sentence to the agents: "She shouldn't have been out there alone." No remorse, no hesitation. Just cruelty. But his arrest cracked open more than Amy's case, because inside that trunk were clues that would connect two more missing hikers from two different states. Amy Turner's murder was no isolated event. Fraser had done this before. Part 5, Justice in The Father Who Never Quit. Robert Fraser was charged with the kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of Amelia Turner. Evidence from his trailer also tied him to two other unsolved cases. Lily Sue, 26, missing from Olympic National Park. Jenna Ruas, 30, vanished hiking solo in Arizona. The common thread: all were experienced hikers. All were women traveling alone. And all had been photographed without consent before vanishing. Fraser had built his sick ritual over years, following solo hikers, watching from the woods, and striking in remote places where help was far. He pled guilty to all charges in exchange for life in prison without parole. At Amy's memorial service, her father Mark stood before a gathering of friends, rangers, and fellow hikers. He held up her camera. "She used this to show people the beauty of the wild," he said, his voice steady. "Not the danger, not the monsters, but the wonder." Then he added, "If an eagle hadn't seen something we couldn't, we'd still be searching. A bird did what we couldn't, broke the silence." Amy was buried beneath the Tetons. A plaque now marks the String Lake trailhead in her honor: Amelia Turner, explorer, artist, daughter, found. And David Chen, the young ranger, now leads a wilderness safety initiative to educate solo hikers and track unregistered individuals. Because this wasn't just about Amy. It was about every woman who walks a trail and feels eyes watching. If you believe Amy's story matters, share it. Let the world know what her father never forgot: that determination, truth, and love can bring light back to even the darkest places. Subscribe to Echo Stories for more true accounts of bravery, heartbreak, and the fight for justice. Because sometimes, even nature remembers.